Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. OECS recommits to working together to address medical challenges. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 25th October 2023. Brought to you in association with our friends at Antillian Group. Details when we return.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. The Organization of Eastern Caribbean States OECS Commission convened the 36th meeting of its Pooled Procurement Services PPS Policy Board in the British Virgin Islands recently. The meeting was held under the chairmanship of Vincent Wheatley, Minister of Health and Social Development of the British Virgin Islands, with attendance from OECS ministers and permanent secretaries of health. More in this DBS news item.
Our meetings this week covered...
In his remarks during the opening ceremony, OECS Director General Dr. Didicus Jules highlighted the importance and value of the PPS in saving costs on key medicines and medical supplies for OECS member states throughout its history. Dr. Jules also stressed the value of and lessons learned from the pooled procurement purchasing of pharmaceuticals during the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Jules encouraged the policy board members to exercise their political will to support the pooled procurement mechanism, identify centers of excellence within the healthcare services in each member state, and work on mechanisms to make these services accessible and affordable for all patients in line with the regional integration agenda.
Our meetings this week cover two highly consequential areas of cooperation that are integral to the revised Treaty of Basel, which is our guiding charter: health and pool procurement. This is the 36th meeting of the PPS board, which means that 36 years of savings in the procurement of medicines and medical supplies. This is a real, although unsung, success story. I've asked the PPS team to pull the historical record so that the full story can be told. But a partial, and I emphasize a partial view of this success was pulled from our electronic transaction platform that was put in place only 14 of those years ago. And in this 14-year period alone, transactions in pharmaceutical purchases amounted to 381 million EC dollars. Based on this record, we can estimate that in the 36-year existence of this facility, transactions could easily have reached $500 million EC dollars, and the PPS achieved an average saving of 20% on medicines and medical supplies.
Following the meeting, Chair of the 36th Policy Board, Vincent Wheatley, highlighted the importance of greater collaboration towards increasing the impact of the work of the PPS in the OECS. He also addressed continued challenges with non-communicable diseases and getting regional citizens to adopt healthier lifestyles.
In the Caribbean, we face a unique health challenge with our food, and trust me, it's a challenge for all of us. While very delicious, sometimes our portion option sizes are not conducive to our health. With small changes to eating habits and choices, we can enjoy the best of both worlds, the pleasures of fine cuisine and also a healthier life. During these meetings, I hope to engage in fruitful discussions surrounding how we can optimize our resources and best practices through insightful presentations that spark new ideas and collaborative efforts that lead to innovative solutions for the challenges we collectively face.
Head of Pooled Procurement Services, Ms. Roslyn Opel, urged member states to commit to the founding ideals of the pooled procurement of health commodities and embrace technology to increase efficiency in service delivery to the member states through the central medical stores and pharmacies at facility levels.
People's National Party in Jamaica releases official statement on escalating Middle East conflict. The statement, which comes weeks after the Prime Minister's Twitter post, sheds light on the party's stance on the pressing matter. CVM Live tells us more.
The People's National Party has issued its official statement on the escalating conflict in the Middle East. It states that, quote, "The People's National Party notes with great concern the escalating conflict in the Middle East and its tragic consequences on civilian populations. We acknowledge that these events are another sad and terrifying chapter in the protracted Israel-Palestinian conflict that has remained unresolved for over half a century. In particular, Israel's encouragement in recent years of the expansion of settlements in the West Bank and its oppressive measures of control imposed on the Palestinian population have undermined the prospects for a two-state solution that can bring lasting peace to this region." It continues that, quote, "Israel's disproportionate and devastating response has led to a grave humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. The world is appalled by the rising death toll of thousands of Palestinian civilians from Israel's continuous airstrikes in Gaza and the intensifying suffering of the civilian population from Israel having shut down access to basic human needs such as water, electricity, and food supplies amidst the humanitarian tragedy resulting from this unconscionable siege and indiscriminate deaths and damage from extended airstrikes. The People's National Party calls upon Israel immediately to cease all aspects of collective punishment of the civilian population in Gaza. We stand in solidarity with CARICOM and urgently call upon the international community through the United Nations to demand an immediate ceasefire and end of indiscriminate hostilities by all parties. Established diplomatic channels and dispute resolution methods must earnestly be pursued as they offer non-violent alternatives to violence and terrorism." End quote. The statement also implores the United Nations Security Council to actively pursue an immediate halt to hostilities to allow humanitarian efforts to be supported. I'm TK Dawkins.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Too slow. Investors turned off by lack of progress in cannabis sector. Dwayne Anderson of TVJ News reports.
For years, there's been talk about developing a thriving cannabis industry in Jamaica. But as far as some stakeholders are concerned, it has been too much talk for too long.
Minister of Justice, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, and certainly myself as Minister of Culture, we recognize that things need to step up. And we are working jointly together in ensuring that.
But not everyone is unhappy things has taken some time. In fact, some believe it could be a good thing for Jamaica.
Everything has to happen in a time. And the reason that there's been, hopefully the reason that there weren't as many people here is because the people that were coming in for the wrong reasons, they're not coming because they're not welcome. Because the energy that is here in this new movement is, it's not fast. Nothing that's good happens overnight. So it's going to take time. Diamonds are so valuable because of how long it takes to make them.
No, there was a recent incident in which students accessed candy laced with cannabis. The Minister of Culture addressed that situation and said that is part of the reason Jamaica is being so careful in how it develops its industry.
So we have to ensure that regulations are in place, that these regulations are observed, and that we protect our children from being exposed to anything that could harm them. It's very important. And that is why we are ensuring that all that has to be done is done.
Reporting from the conference center in Montego Bay, St. James, I'm Dwayne Anderson for TVJ News.
Lawmakers in the meantime for cannabis to be legalized. Dwayne Anderson again of TVJ News reports.
I will be taking an even more active role in discussing and representing the rights of the cultural movement that is the foundation of the legalization of cannabis in Jamaica. As it is now,
Culture Minister Olivia Grange making it clear she will be lobbying for the legalization of cannabis in Jamaica. The Culture Ministry is expected to be added to the list of 4 ministries responsible for supervising the growth of Jamaica's cannabis industry, meaning a greater voice for Rastafari and other so-called legalized interests. In fact, Minister Grange explained, the cultural groups now have an additional voice in the halls of power.
I am well focused and determined to achieve what we want to achieve. And so my voice could not be ignored. And that is why Mrs. Hannah is now playing such an active role in the CLA.
Currently, Jamaica's journey with the weed is a decriminalization. This means a person held by the police with 2 ounces of weed or less will not end up with a criminal record. Every property in Jamaica is also permitted to cultivate 5 or fewer cannabis plants. The provisions are outlined in the Dangerous Drugs Act. But for the Culture Minister, that name should also not stand for much longer.
I think the name Cannabis Industry Regulation Act would be better to cover our new industry and promote its growth for the benefit of Jamaica and its people. Can you imagine? The Cannabis Industry Regulation Act instead of the Dangerous Drug Act.
The minister was addressing cannabis industry stakeholders at the annual expo in St. James. The event allows stakeholders a forum to discuss Jamaica's involvement in the industry, estimated to value $29 billion. Dwayne Anderson.
More than a week has passed since the Court of Appeal in Trinidad and Tobago ruled that former Chief Magistrate Marcia Ayres Caesar was forced out of office and her resignation illegally obtained. TV6's reporter Cindy Raghubatika Singh tells us more.
If there is one takeaway from the recent Court of Appeal decision in the Marcia Ayres Caesar case versus the JLSC and Chief Justice, is that no one is above the law. According to the former Chief Magistrate's lead attorney Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, the ruling by the Court of Appeal that Ayres Caesar was forced to resign and her notice of resignation prepared in advance of any meeting to discuss the matter with the Chief Justice back in April of 2017 is significant for the people of TNT as it relates to the independence of the judiciary.
The Constitution provided a special machinery for the removal of a judge, so that a judge would not be at the whims and fancies of the politicians, of anyone, and not at the whims and fancy of any Chief Justice or any Judicial and Legal Service Commission. A judge must not be subservient or sycophantic and be afraid of the Chief Justice or afraid of the Judicial and Legal Service Commission or be afraid of the government or the opposition.
He says it was unfortunate that the media and by extension the country were not able to hear the evidence and cross-examinations of the case due to it being heard during the pandemic. However, he took time on Saturday to go over evidence of his case, which he ventilated in court through cross-examination of JLSC witnesses as well as the Chief Justice himself. Details of when Ayres Caesar was sworn in as a judge and the weeks which followed leading to her public resignation were outlined.
The Chief Justice informed the judge, Marcia Ayres Caesar, that the JLSC had met in an emergency meeting earlier that day and decided that she should return to the magistracy in order to complete her part-heard matters. In effect, the Chief Justice had told her then that the JLSC had decided she should no longer be a judge. The Chief Justice also informed her that the JLSC had decided that she either tender her resignation as a judge or the JLSC would advise the President to revoke her appointment.
Maharaj says the court determined this to be illegal.
The High Court judge found that before the Chief Justice had the meeting in the afternoon with Justice Marcia Ayres Caesar, that his office was given instructions to draft a press statement for the judge in advance, purporting to set out in anticipation a decision to resign and a supposed reason for resigning, and describing her attendance at the President's house to hand in a letter of resignation.
The JLSC has 21 days from the October 12th ruling to appeal this ruling. Maharaj says they are yet to receive any correspondence. but he said they are prepared and confident of going all the way.
I would advise my client that if they want to appeal to the Privy Council, let the other side consent, that they would consent to an expedited hearing, and we can probably get the Privy Council to determine this matter within a few months. I think this is the kind of appeal that the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council would want to hear very quickly.
Cindy Raghubatika Singh, TV6 News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.